Okay, just getting ready here, everybody. Come on now. I swear this thing gets buggier every day. Stupid crap. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Alright. Come on, phone. Work with me, phone. There we go. Hey, Tokes, how's it going, son? Hi, Smithall. How goes it? Let me get my microphone actually in front of my face. That might help a little bit. There we go. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Lost track of the fact that it wasn't actually in front of me. So we'll be going live here in a minute. We shall be going live. Yes, yes, yes. Oh. Hi, Tortured Soul. We got a few minutes if you want to ask just some random crap while I'm waiting for the official show time to get here. You know how I do. Got the puppy here. Puppy. Want to come see me? Come on, come see Grandpa. There's a puppy. Yes, that's a good girl. Okay, that's enough. No, that's enough. Say hi to everybody. Say hi. Look up there. See him? Okay. You be a good girl. You gonna be a good girl tonight? Until your dad get home? Huh? You gonna be good? What you think? Okay. Go lay down. Be good. First time in a bit that I've been on time. Yes. Gotta love the doggies. My pit bull, she is so spoiled. Well, they only get spoiled if you make them that way, Tokes. I would know. Robocop Rogue City stomps the new $70 Call of Duty deal. Yeah, is that not a load of crap? You know, the trophies show up as add-on trophies to Modern Warfare 2 on PlayStation. It has an error where it's telling you to install the second disc for Modern Warfare 2 for PlayStation. Isn't it like they... Was there any way that they could have made it any more obvious that this thing started out as a DLC and they decided to turn it into a full game? And as I understand it, it's one of the shortest campaigns ever. I'm seeing people that are beating it in like 3.5, 4 hours. Come on. The only downside, Tokes, to spoiling a dog is that you run the risk of afflicting them with something called separation anxiety, where if you go anywhere and leave them by themselves, it causes them great stress. They stress themselves out because dogs don't have a real sense of time. And so when you leave, as far as they're concerned, you're never coming back. So it can, unless you're raising the dog to be used to you not being there on a regular basis, you can really kind of emotionally mess up your dog. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know ahead of time now. I'm not feeling my greatest today. This is proving to be a bad stomach day for me. I also pulled a muscle on the left side here, so it's like I've got a muscle cramp on my left side, like right underneath. And as if that wasn't bad enough, I woke up this morning and this eye was like all swollen and irritated, and the little piece of skin here right to the left of the corner of my eye was all red and irritated out. So it's not, it feels like pink eye, like when I had pink eye as a kid, but that's not what it is, because my eye is like pure white. I feel like I must have scratched it somehow in my sleep. I don't know, but it's causing me problems. So I'm like all kinds of messed up today. So just letting you guys know that ahead of time. 7th just bought Rogue City on Steam as well. Can't wait. Yeah, I'm several hours into it. It's awesome. Now it's a AA game. It ain't AAA. There's some glitches all over the place. It's got the usual Unreal Engine jank going on, but it is so fun, and they got the humor of the movie series just right. I've been capturing footage. I do intend to review this one. I can't say for certain, of course, but because I haven't finished it yet. I actually experienced my first death just a little while before I came in here. I got to the steel mill where, spoiler alert, Murphy gets to re-witness where he was killed. And I got about 2/3 of the way through that, and then I was presented with a room that had like 15 guys in it, along with a guy with a grenade launcher, and they just took my health bar and went, and I was done. So I'm going to have to reload from the checkpoint later this evening. It's making me really want to sit down and rewatch the first one. Now I could take or leave the second one, and I really hate the third one. But I think I might rewatch the first one tonight after I get done here. But the gameplay is fun. It's almost like playing a mini sandbox first-person shooter RPG to a certain extent, because you're let loose on these maps, and you can walk around and investigate different crimes and look for clues and help people in little side quests that all feel different. None of the side quests feel the same. And the story is great. And, of course, the voice acting. The only thing that's missing is that, there's no Clarence Bodiger. The main villain in this game, at least so far, who I presume is the main villain, kind of sucks. And it doesn't help the fact that there's some kind of glitch where the main villain, all of his audio is like piped down too far, and so you can't hear what he's saying half the time. It's really weird. There's been some other like odd audio issues like that. But I like how you can level up your character and all this stuff. It's cool, man. Hidden rooms that you have to search for. I'm having a lot of fun. It may end up being one of my favorite games of the year if it keeps this level of quality up through the whole game. Anyway, it's Saturday, 6 o'clock, November 4th, 2023, and this is the 7th Cast. As always, I'm your venerable host, your friendly neighborhood 7th, and 8th is still at work. He will be getting home shortly, at which point he will pick up the pupper. He'll come in here and pick up the pupper, not say anything, and then walk out. So, let me catch up with the chat real quick. I'm going to have to get a walkie-talkie to talk to her when I step out. You have a side cramp too. They suck. I used to get Charlie horses in my legs a lot. Muscle cramps in my legs when I was a kid. And that's exactly what it feels like, but it's in my left side. I don't know if I pulled it when I was in the shower or what, but it hurts. Modern Warfare 3 campaign is garbage. Even IGN gave it a 4 out of 10. That's pretty bad. You've never seen Robocop? Farb. Come on. You got to watch Robocop. The matter with you? Shame on you, Farb. They seem to make good movie-based games. I actually bought 8th, their Terminator game, as a stocking stuffer for Christmas. I've never played it. He hasn't either. I've just heard that it's pretty good and that it also is kind of a shooter RPG hybrid kind of thing. So, high hopes. High hopes. Family loves dogs. So, this week, I watched Boogie's documentary, the sad life of Boogie, or whatever the hell it's called. It's about an hour long. And I'm going to be honest, there wasn't anything in there that I didn't already know about, except for the fact that he had blown $200,000 on hookers over the last three years or so. I knew he had been hiring hookers. I just didn't know that he had spent $200,000 on it. Everything else in there I already knew about. There was no surprises for me there. I mean, these are things that he has either talked about in videos, talked about at his panels at conventions, talked to me one-on-one. We've been sitting there at Retropalooza just shooting the stuff, I already knew about all this stuff, so there wasn't any kind of revelations, and he kept making it out like, no one's going to want anything to do with me once they see this. And I'm like, dude, you've already talked about all of this. At this point, it's just a matter of degree. Let's be honest here. There's not a single thing happening with him right now. And I'm saying this as someone who's gotten to know him halfway well. We see each other twice a year. We sit and talk. Nothing that's going on with him right now is anybody's fault but his own. He brought all of this on himself, and he will admit to it. But even when you try to reach out to talk to him, as far as, well, look, it's highly unlikely that you're going to be able to revitalize your channel to where you're making $7,500 a month off of YouTube. It would be best for you to start looking to find work. And he will just instantly go into a defense mode, listing all the excuses for why he can't work a regular job. Now, look, I would wish that he would just come out and be honest. He doesn't want to work a regular job. He's still stuck in this mindset of, I want to sit and talk in front of a camera and make a living off of it. And I'm sorry. I just don't think that he's going to be able to get back up to where, at least not back up to where he's making $75,000 a month to be able to pay for all of his bills. Now, if he was smart, one, he would refinance his mortgage to get that mortgage down by about half. Yeah, he's paying $2,000 a month. It needs to be $1,000. If he's paying for any kind of streaming services like Netflix, Disney, Amazon, Hulu, HBO, he needs to pare it down to just 2. He needs to look about maybe trying to lower the insurance that he pays on his car. Maybe reach back out to him and find out if there's a discount for the fact that because he doesn't work a regular job, he's not putting any serious miles on that car. And so the mileage is very low, which should give him a discount on his car insurance. Maybe lower some of the extra stuff that he's paying for it per month. Look at ways to lower the electric bill. Where are some places where you can kind of try to trim that down some. Take a very good look at what you're spending on groceries, where you're buying them, what you're paying for them, how much of it you're purchasing, etc., etc. It's called budgeting, Boogie, and you're going to have to learn to do it. Now, I tell you what I would be doing right now, were it not for the fact that the closest one is miles from me. It's over a half-hour drive to get to it. If I could, I'm not a food snob. If I could, I would be buying all of my groceries at Aldi. Because we used to have an Aldi at North Carolina, and my grocery budget was minuscule in North Carolina compared to what it is here in Texas. Because when you get to Texas, everyone brags about H-E-B. It's the greatest thing ever. Their prices are awesome. Walmart kicks their ass in prices on a regular basis. And Walmart is getting to where it's ridiculously expensive for a lot of things. When I was living in North Carolina, I could buy a whole week's worth of groceries for under $100 because the stuff at Aldi's, just as good, doesn't have that name brand sticker on it. So, Boogie, you need to check your local listings, find out if there's either a Aldi or a Save-A-Lot anywhere near you, and start buying all your groceries there. Cut out all of the going out to eat. No more going to the restaurants. No more Taco Bell, DoorDash, all that crap needs to go. You need to start budgeting your groceries and buying ingredients where you're buying up enough to where you can make multiple meals out of the stuff that you're buying, instead of just buying up a bunch of microwave meals and going out to eat all the time. This is grown-up stuff, Boogie. You're my age. In fact, you're a little bit older than me by a few months. You ought to know this stuff, son. I'm tough loving you right now, but it is what it is. The first thing is to get that mortgage refinanced. Try to double down on it and see if you can get it as close to half as possible. Get it down to $1,000. $1,000 is a lot more manageable. And until you get that $700 credit card paid off, what you're going to have to do is just, no more buying magic cards, no more going to the arcade, no more buying up a bunch of dumb crap. You're going to have to live lean. But as long as, you said it yourself, as long as I have my TV and I can watch the things I like and play the things I like, I'm fine. I don't need anything other than that. And, of course, Sammy and your girlfriend. You do all these things that I'm talking about, that's what you'll have. Your TV, your games, your dogs, and your girlfriend. What more are you going to need? Really? Because then it just boils down to more addiction. You're addicted to food. You're addicted to buying magic cards. You're addicted to buying stupid crap you never use. It's time to break those addictions. You can't afford to do it anymore. That crypto is never going to go back up the way that you want it to. It's just not. Sell it out. Sell it out and put that down on your mortgage. Get your mortgage, knock your mortgage down by 30 grand and then refinance to get the lowest mortgage rate you can possibly get. There are also other things that you can do in that regard. There are mortgage, income-based mortgage refinancing programs where if you're making under a certain amount compared to how much your mortgage is, they will refinance it based on what your income is, and that can get you down significantly. The last house that I actually owned, I was living there for several years paying $1,150 a month on it for this tiny little 1,300 square foot house. And after I got laid off and everything, I was bouncing from contract job to contract job for a couple of years. I went and filed a hardship to get the house, the mortgage payment down. And I got it down to $700 a month just based off of that. So you need to look into that too. You need to look into all the programs that are out there to help somebody in your situation. There's programs out the butt that you can sign up for. All sorts of different things that you can sign up for. I mean, for God's sakes, you say that you can't work a regular job. See if you can be classified as disabled. So you get like a government disability check. Look into that. You couldn't get it before because I would assume because of all the YouTube income you were making, but at the same time there's no physical attributes that would prevent you from being able to be on YouTube unless you were like, fully paralyzed from the neck down lying in a bed. But there's other things that can classify you as disabled to try to get on some kind of a government aid besides, the things that require you to be able to sit in a chair and talk to a camera. So just, go out and talk to social services. Find out if you qualify for anything. You're never going to know nothing until you try. And it's perfect. You watch that scene where he's allegedly talking to some kind of a employment guidance counselor type thing, and I feel like she was an actress, but I could be wrong. And the minute she starts talking, he just talks over her and lists all the things that's wrong with him that would prevent him from being able to work. Like the fact that, he fired a warning shot and so now he's a felon. Do you know how many different companies will hire people that are felons depending on what it was that they did? There's a whole list. All you have to do, Boogs, is go on the internet and look up the list. Tons of companies. You don't have a job because you don't want a job. It's that simple. There's no harm in just admitting that. Get in front of a camera. I don't want to work. I want to still do this. Because the other alternative is that you're going to have to get up and start walking around more and stop eating junk and put that surgery that you bought to use, get yourself down under 300 pounds and get you a job at Walmart or somewhere. Either case, you're not going to get $7,500 a month. But here's the thing. If you got how much of that $7,500 a month is paying your medical costs? Because if you got a job even at somewhere like Walmart and were making enough hours to qualify for their medical coverage, that cuts all those out of your debt, your monthly debt. So then it's just, your mortgage and your utilities and that credit card debt, which, $700, it's not that much, Bugs. It's not. Trust me, I know. I don't make $7,500 a month. And, I'm living in a decent house. I've got a car that's still got another 11 months to pay on. A nice car that's only got 30,000 miles on it. We have all the groceries we need. If I want to buy a game, I can just go out and buy it. If I want to go to Retropalooza, I can go. But I'm not clearing $7,500 a month. There's something off about those numbers, Bugs. I'm just saying. Anyway. Let me catch up again before we go to another topic. Let me scroll up. Let's see. I platinumed that Terminator game. Thought it was really good. Cool. I'm 19 and I don't watch movies that often. I saw The Crow like a week ago. Jesus. Then I jumped right before a scene where he kills some dude who had... Yeah. You need to watch Robocop, Tharp. Being 19 is an excuse. Just watch it. Capcom needs to stop thinking that Thomas the Tank Engine mods are offensive. Boogie just seems like a strange guy, especially after his divorce. His online antics became bizarre. When a bunch of fitness YouTubers offered to help him for free and he declined, you knew he was pulling something. Well, to be honest with you, though, High for Life, I don't put a whole lot of stock in these YouTube fitness experts. Can't blame. Here's another option, Boogie. Here's another option. If you don't want to get foreclosed on and lose that house, do the thing that I just talked about. You know, look into a hardship payment adjustment on the mortgage. Look into refinancing it, getting the payment down to about $1,000. Go out and get you an apartment somewhere, a decent little 2-bedroom apartment in a nice area, and then hook up with one of these property management companies and rent that house out for $2,500 a month and turn it into a source of income. And then once you've paid the house out, once you've paid the house off, whoever's living in there, you know, when their lease runs out, kick them out and move back in. House paid off. It's not rocket science, son. You have options. You have options. It's just that you would rather be, you know, making $500,000 a year like you did on YouTube for a while. Let's be honest. You're really just making the whole thing harder for yourself than it needs to be. That's just the reality of it. I'm not trying to be mean to you, Boogs. But that's the reality. Anyway. Walmart is crap for fresh food, isn't it? Well, they have fresh food. It's just a matter of whether you can afford it there. You can get fresh food, fresh meat, fresh vegetables at Aldi for way cheaper than what you could at Walmart or H-E-B or any other big grocery store. Aldi is awesome. And it has a negative reputation because poor people shop there. Do I look poor to you? I shop there. It's common sense. When you go to Walmart, even their Walmart brand stuff isn't as cheap as Aldi stuff. Boogie is older than me by a couple of months. Born the same year, but I was born towards the end of the year, and I think he was born towards the middle. I don't know why Boogie made that documentary. Like I said, there's really nothing in it that he hasn't already talked about or revealed. And he kept making this big deal about, Kiwi Farms is going to love this. People are going to go nuts. Everyone's going to hate me. I don't know if he was hoping that it was going to generate hate views or what, but, to me, I mean, it was a well-produced thing. It was well-made, well-directed. But as far as the content of it, it was pretty much a fart in the wind. Yeah, when he was making 500 grand, he should have paid off his house then. There was no reason to not pay that house off when he was making that kind of money. Because let me tell you something right now. You wouldn't be able to, in this market, you wouldn't be able to buy a house his size for 250 grand. No. You couldn't do it. Unless somebody died in it. It was like, it'd been used as like a crack den and somebody got shot in it. Then maybe you could get it for 250, but you wouldn't get it for 250 new in this market with the number of bedrooms he has in it. No way. No way. He doesn't know how good he has it. I'm looking at minimum 450 grand to buy a house that size. I'll tell you this. If it wasn't for the fact that I have zero interest in living in Arkansas, I'd go get a loan and I'd buy it from him. I'd buy it from him for 250 grand. Shit. In fact, with 5 bedrooms, you know what I'd do if I cared about living in Arkansas? I'd offer him to buy that house, allow him and Desi to still live in it because it has 5 bedrooms, and then he could pay me $500 a month rent. And then over time, if he could somehow revitalize himself, he could buy the house back from me when he had the money to do it. Just to keep him from getting foreclosed out of it. I would do that if I had any interest in living in Arkansas, but I don't. I have the credit rating to do it. It wouldn't take me too long to get a down payment to do it. But I don't want to live in Arkansas. And I can't really imagine what it'd be like to have Boogie as a roommate, but I'd deal with it to help him out if I wanted to live in Arkansas. I just don't want to live in Arkansas. I like it in Texas, and I intend to stay in Texas unless it gets so bad here that I end up turning tail and going back to Tennessee, because the houses in Tennessee, certain parts of Tennessee, are cheaper than here in Texas. Anyway, let's see here. Hi, Clean Frame. Hi, Ultra Steel. Yeah, and we're living in a recession anyway. He shouldn't be going out to eat, going on these trips. Even if he's doing them on a budget. I mean, some of the hotel rooms that he showed him staying in, I've been to Pigeon Forge. I've been to Gatlinburg. I know how expensive it is. Yes, you can get a discount by getting the package plan with Ripley's, but you're still paying out the ass for it. It ain't cheap. You ain't fooling me. I've been there. I know how much that stuff costs. That wasn't going to revitalize your channel. Do you know how many people make videos like that now? Carpetbagger and Adam the Woo and all these other guys that are established in that community, wherein you are not. The algorithm was going to knock that down. You should have known that. Just another waste of money. That's another mortgage payment you could have made. If you're wanting to do that kind of shit, you know what you ought to do? Sell your house and get a Winnebago. And you and Desi and the dogs just hit the road, going from RV park to RV park. And make your living that way. And live in your little Winnebago. You ain't going to want to do that, though. Seventh, I'm starting my eBay electronic sales once again. How much money would you start to invest with? I don't know, because I've never done that kind of thing before, Tokes. I'm not an authority on selling electronics online, so I'm not the best guy to give you advice on that. No, Boogie's parents are both dead. Is there something wrong with Arkansas? Yeah, I don't want to live there. That's all the reason I need. I don't want to live there. I like it where I'm at. I like it in Texas. Texas is where I want to be. There was a point where I was looking at maybe going back to Florida, but when I started researching and finding out what a disaster home ownership is in Florida nowadays, I changed my mind. I ain't putting up with that. I'd rather stay here or go back to Tennessee. I have zero interest in living in Arkansas. I wouldn't want to live in Oklahoma. I wouldn't want to live in Kansas, any of the Midwestern states. I certainly don't want to live on the West Coast. Come on, camera. Fix yourself, camera. Let's go. Oh, come on, camera. For real? I'm going to have to buy me another camera because, this Logitech 4K ain't all it's cracked out up to be. I'm going to have to find me a nicer quality camera because this thing gets confused too damn easy. Look at this shit. Hello. Focus on me. Focus on me. It's confused. It can't sharpen itself now. Come on. Hello. Camera. Focus camera. Oh, for Pete's sake. What's the matter with this stupid thing? I've never seen it go out this bad before. Let me see if I can maybe... Do I have... Do I have an option in here for the camera? No, I don't. Great. Well, this is just lovely. I don't know what to do. It's never done this before. I have no idea what to do. I'm trying to do stuff to trick it into refocusing itself. Maybe I can try messing with the brightness of the lights in here and see if that'll do something. Let's try that. Where's my little smart life? Smart bulb. Well, that didn't do anything. Hello? Come on. Unreal. don't know. I don't know. I don't know why it's stuck that way. Ha-ha! I fixed it. I fixed it. By God. I fixed it. Sorry about that, y'all. What a load of crap. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to look into a better one. I've heard good things about that that Elgato one. There's like a new Elgato face cam or something. I've heard that one's good. Maybe I'll look into that. Because this thing's supposed to be 4K, but I noticed that some of my contemporaries out there, their picture quality looks better than mine. Their frame rate looks better than mine. I have this thing set. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm gonna have to find out what everybody else is using and switch to whatever they're using, so that I've never really been happy with the quality of my video output for the 7thCast. And so I'm definitely going to have to do something. But anyway, let's see here. Have I played Spider-Man 2? Yes. I have. Haven't finished it. But I have played it. Did you like Braveheart? Yes, I did. As extremely historically inaccurate as it is, I have watched it and I did like it. Thoughts on the game Robocop? That was what I was about. The bit rate looks like crap too. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why. I can't set the thing to low latency. If I try to set it to low latency, it causes the computer to crash. So I have to set it to normal latency. I don't know if that's negatively affecting the bit rate or not. I'm not an expert in OBS. I'm not even sure where I would go to try to adjust the bit rate, or if it's something just hardwired into the limitations of this camera. I don't know. But considering the fact that I don't live off of YouTube, is it even worth it to bother having something that's better quality than this? Again, I don't know. Well, we can lower the brightness back down now. Let's get it a little bit there. All right. There we go. All right. So, Robocop. Talked about it a little bit earlier, but if it stays at the quality that it's been in the time that I've played it so far today, it'll definitely be one of my favorite games of the year. It's not AAA. It's definite AA. It's got the usual jank that you get from a Unreal Engine game. But it is a lot of fun. Peter Weller is great in it. I'm kind of underwhelmed by the main villain so far. I think the main villain kind of sucks so far. But overall, I'm enjoying the story, and I'm liking the gameplay loop, because it's kind of a semi-sandbox first-person shooter RPG where you've got different side quests you can go on, and they're not cookie-cutter side quests. They've all been unique so far as what you have to do, and they all have their own story behind them. It's really been good. I've been very happy with it so far. Again, it's not a AAA release. There are several sections of the game where there isn't even music. When you go into combat, of course, it plays the Robocop theme, and you're just blasting people to bits. It's gory. It is gory. Blood and limbs and brains fly everywhere. So it definitely lives up to the movie in that regard, especially the uncut version of the movie, the director's cut. But, yeah. This was one that initially I was going to wait till it was $20 and get it when it was $20. But I had a little bit of extra, and I thought, well, I'll treat myself since there's not really anything else coming out for the rest of the year that I'm all that excited for. And it showed up early this morning, and I started playing it, and I didn't put it down until it was time for me to come in here. It's really fun. I've seen some people complain about Spider-Man 2 having woke stuff in it. I haven't played it enough to be able to say. As far as I can tell so far, it's got the same amount that the previous game did as far as forcing you to have to play as Mary Jane and stuff like that. But, you know, if you played Asha in Monster World, what would give it? I don't even know what that is. Hogwarts Legacy got one. Got one what? A port to PS4? The new Miles Morales Spidey suit with his hair sticking out looks atrocious. That's the corporate sponsored Adidas suit that you're talking about. Interesting thing about Adidas. Adidas was formed by incorporated by two German brothers in 1933. They were members of a certain socialist party in Germany. And years later, the two of them had a major falling out, and one of them broke off from his brother and formed his own company, Puma. So if any of you out there are currently wearing Adidas or Puma shoes, you're wearing Nazi shoes. I'm just saying. And apparently now so is Miles Morales. I would assume that Insomniac weren't aware of this. Weren't aware of it at all. But then again, look how many people out in the world drive Volkswagens these days. So, I mean, you know, or drink Fanta. The aiming is poor. I haven't had any problems aiming in Robocop, like, at all. I mean, you don't really have to do a tremendous amount of aim because he has that lock-on system. So it's like, you know, the closest enemy to you, you just kind of naturally lock onto them, and then you can just aim it from there as far as whether you want to shoot them in crotch, chest, or head. What's so bad about that? I mean, that's the way Robocop works. He has that auto-targeting system. Remember the pin? Target, target, target. It's just being true to the movie. Yes, it makes it feel like more of a shooting gallery than an actual first-person shooter, but it's still fun. What made the third Robocop so bad? Well, let's see. It didn't have Peter Weller playing Robocop. It had the guy who was the fat guy that became skinny in that Stephen King movie Thinner. It had him playing Robocop. At least I think it was him. It was PG-13 instead of R. It was made by Canon instead of being made by the original people who made it. It didn't have the original director, but then again, the second one didn't either. And it just had a really crappy story and awful low-budget special effects because it was made by Canon, who makes low-budget uh, movies. The best way I could explain it is the reason Robocop 3 sucks is the same reason that Superman 4 The Quest for Peace sucked. Seventh, what's up with you and Kid Behind the Camera on Twitter? Oh, it's just a bunch of nothing. Don't worry about it. It's all taken care of. No problem there. Kid Behind the Camera and I met at Retropalooza Houston last spring. And ever since then, we've been kind of trolling each other back and forth on Twitter for the fun of it. There were some misunderstandings. And so for a little while yesterday, he had me blocked. But squared that away. Feels very sluggish to me. Well, I'm sorry. Are you playing it on PC? I'm playing it on PS5. I hadn't had any issues with the aiming. Let's see here. Seventh, I watched The Exorcist 3 on Halloween, and I forgot how well the acting was in that movie. Yeah, it's an excellent movie. It's one of my all-time faves. My only problem, let's see here. Ace of Horns, my only problem with the Robocop game is the very poor facial animation and lip syncing. Yeah, it's kind of last gen. There is no real facial motion cap. It looks like it was hand animated, which it most likely was considering their budget. So that instantly gives it a last gen look. But I don't care. I really don't care. It's fun as hell. I don't care. Skipped my question. Is it like a Bethesda game with Robocop DLC? No, not really. It's not Fallout with Robocop. It's not that intense. And I'm guessing that I'll probably have it beat by tomorrow, so it's not very long either. Does it have any time? Oh, he's talking to... Seventh, Platinum Spider-Man 2. It's easy. I may. We'll see. I mean, I put in like maybe 2 hours into it, and I didn't exactly have a hard time putting it down, if that tells you anything. It doesn't look like you're missing out with Alan Wake 2. Well, I refused to buy it because it's digital only. There was no physical option for it. 8th does not have those restrictions. And so 8th, he went ahead and bought it digitally on Steam. And he really seems to like it. I don't know. He's kind of addicted to it. He's been playing it for the last several days. 7th, what are some absolute must-have games for the 360? Looking to build up a retro-esque collection. Well, Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon, not so much Infinite Undiscovery. The Last Remnant is pretty good. I mean, I've got a pretty extensive 360 library. Let me just pull it up real quick, since you asked. Come on. No. Games. Refined by console, Xbox 360. No, not that. God, this thing's gets on my damn nerves. Xbox 360, apply. Well, let's see. I have 83 games for the Xbox 360. And let me just scroll through here. I already said Lost Odyssey. Armored Core 5, Asura's Wrath, Blue Dragon. The Saboteur is pretty good. Witcher 2 is crap on Xbox. Don't get it on Xbox. Eternal Sonata is good. Castlevania Lords of Shadow is good. Last Remnant. Saints Row and Saints Row 2. Condemned and Condemned 2 would be good ones. Uh, Fable Anniversary, Fable 2, Fable 3. Darkness 2. If you like Gears of War, Gears 1, 2, 3, I wouldn't bother with Judgment. The original Prey is good. Binary Domain is good. Alan Wake is good. The Dead Rising series is good. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. The Project Gotham Racing series, it's good. Crackdown 2, Crackdown 3 was garbage, but Crackdown 1 and 2 are pretty good. Lost Planet 2. And that's about it. As far as what I have. Thoughts on the layoffs that happened in Bungie? I don't think it had anything to do with Sony. I think they did it to themselves. Even insiders are saying that it wasn't Sony's decision to make those layoffs. Bungie decided that. What is it about Texas that makes you prefer it over other states? I just like it here. I like the weather. I like the convenience of closeness of things. I like the things to do around here. And I like my neighbors. It's a quiet neighborhood. It's really as simple as that. I already watched Across the Spider-Verse. Still didn't like it. Lost Odyssey is good. It's like playing another Final Fantasy game. Back when Final Fantasy still felt like Final Fantasy. Seventh, Master Millions, you must be late again. I spent the first good chunk of the first hour talking about his documentary. Pays to be on time, son. The Crackdown series are third-person sandbox superhero games where you can also use guns. So think Infamous with guns. That's what it is. Do you think GTA fanboys calling the first two Saints Row games GTA clones were the reason the series went into a more wacky, over-the-top direction? Yeah, but it wasn't because of necessarily just solely fanboys. The first two Saints Row games are GTA clones. That's exactly what they are. You know, there's no arguing that point when you play them. You know exactly what it's trying to ape. What's the connection between Dr. Sleep and The Shining? Dr. Sleep is the sequel to The Shining. It's a direct sequel. Danny, the little boy from The Shining, is all grown up. And he's the main character of the story. Are you a fan of the Prototype series? Not especially. I didn't like the way it controlled. I preferred the Infamous series at the time. I bought them both the same week, Infamous 1 and Prototype 1, and I just felt like I was more in control of my character with Infamous than I did with Prototype. Prototype felt very loose to me. What does it mean to shine? It means you have powers, like psychic powers. Thoughts on the Fantastic Four movie? It's not very good. It had some funny moments in it, but that was about it. That was about it. Oh, man. Not feeling my best tonight, folks. I talked about that when I first started the stream. I'm feeling kind of rough today. Did you like Final Fantasy 16? I liked it as a game. I didn't like it as a Final Fantasy game because it felt nothing like Final Fantasy. But just as a big semi-open world action RPG, I liked it. No, I'm not picking up the Metal Gear Solid collection. I have them all. I don't need it. You know, and I only bought them for collection purposes and because 8th actually likes stealth games. I do not. Never been a fan of stealth gameplay. Especially when they try to shoehorn it into a series whose main gameplay loop is not stealth. I didn't like it in Uncharted, don't like it in Spider-Man. Infamous Second Son was fine. In fact, there are some elements of it that are way better than the first two games. I just didn't like the story as much because Delsin Rowe was a little prick. Didn't like him as a character. There's nothing worse for me than, I'm going to have to spend 20 hours playing or 10 to 20 hours playing with the same character and I can't stand that character. Delsin was a trope. Meant to appeal to the youngins. He was a stereotype, and he sucked. He was a shitty character. He really was. I much preferred Cole from Infamous 2. Now, admittedly, Cole in Infamous 1 was kind of a blank slate. They didn't really start to develop him as a character until the second game. But I still much preferred him in the second game to Delsin Rowe in the third. Delsin was just a prick. Ghost of Tsushima was a great game. Really liked Ghost of Tsushima. I wish Sucker Punch would hurry up and announce whatever it is they're doing. And God, I hope it's not turning Ghost of Tsushima into a game as a service. I don't see why there'd be a need for that. Ghost of Tsushima Legends was already better as a live service experience than most anything that Sony has done live service-wise or multiplayer-wise in years. So I hope that's not what Sucker Punch is working on. I hope they're working on a legit Ghost of Tsushima 2. Would you like to see a new Judge Dredd game? If it was running on this Robocop engine, yeah, I'd play a Judge Dredd that plays like this Robocop game. Absolutely. Yeah, Ratchet in the first... Actually, Kona, Ratchet in the first couple of games was kind of a jerk. He didn't really seem to like mellow out until maybe around the third game, and then by the time the Tools of Destruction came out, he was almost like a totally different character. But yeah, in the first couple of games, he was a total a-hole. Absolutely. Yes. Oh, I know Halloween's already over with, and I might have mentioned this last week. I can't really remember. Horror movie recommendation. Cobweb. I watched Cobweb recently, and I really liked that movie. When it first starts out, it feels like it's going to be kind of a People Under the Stairs kind of thing. If you've never seen People Under the Stairs, it was a Wes Craven movie from the mid-'80s where he was trying to kind of do something different from Freddy type deal. And Cobweb starts out making you feel like it's going to be a People Under the Stairs kind of movie. And then when it gets to the third act, it goes from that kind of psychological thriller with a little bit of horror thing to full-on monster movie gore fest. And it's glorious. If you haven't had a chance to see Cobweb, check out Cobweb. It was a lot of fun. And when I say monster movie gore fest, I'm talking like kind of a hybrid between Malignant and The Grudge. It's good stuff. It's fun. It wasn't just the voice acting, AKL Max or whatever. It was the script. It was the way Ratchet was written. Ratchet was just a kind of a trollish, mean dipshit in the first couple of games. If you had a wish list for things to be in the next Ratchet and Clank, what would it be? More big open maps with lots of exploration. I like that kind of stuff. No, I haven't watched Five Nights at Freddy's. I know you can stream it on Peacock. I don't have Peacock. Plus, I'm not a fan of that game series anyway, so why would I care? Are you going to see the new Godzilla in December? No, because there's no theaters showing it anywhere near me. The closest movie theater that's going to be showing it is like 40 miles away. I don't know why, but I assumed that Alamo Drafthouse would be getting it, but they don't have it listed. So maybe I'm just like, I checked it too early. I got a notification saying tickets would go on sale for it today. And so I went on Fandango to look for it, and none of the theaters near me had it listed. Because I was going to buy me and 8 the ticket to it as a surprise for him, because he's this massive Godzilla fan, and nowhere close by that was showing it. Yeah, I watched Don't Breathe 2, and I didn't like it. I heard the 1989 Blob was good. It is. All practical effects. Now, some of the effects haven't aged well, but some of them are fantastic. And it's got good acting, too. Thoughts on Peter Jackson's King Kong? Too long. And Jack Black was not a good choice for that part. Because he hams it up and overacts it like he was trying to act like actors did when the 1933 film came out. That's what it feels like. Whereas everyone else was acting in a more modern style, and here's Jack Black just hamming it up, Charlton Heston style. It just didn't work for me. He takes me out of that movie. Everything else about it I adore, but Jack Black Just wasn't he wasn't the right pick for it. I love Jack Black. I hate him in that movie. I haven't seen the trailer for the new Planet of the Apes yet. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. 2 hours left. There have been 0 donations this evening. There were 0 donations last week as well. I guess now that Trey for Life is over with, y'all don't care no more. I can't say I blame you. No, I don't remember Airborne. Thoughts on the King Kong game for 360? It was impressive for its time, but I've tried going back and playing it, and I just don't like it. I just don't like it. It's not my thing. Not my thing. I'll tell you another game that sucks. The Robocop game that came out for PS2. Holy crap, that game is balls. It's terrible. Yes, I've played Loaded. I on PS1. I couldn't tell you what my opinion of it was because I don't remember what it was actually like to play. I just remember that I used to own it. 7th, have you seen the movie Talk to Me? I've seen trailers for it. I haven't watched it yet because it's not available for free on any of my streaming services, and I don't want to pay for it. So, I'll watch it when I don't have to pay for it, like when it hits Prime. In RPGs, do you like enemies always scaling to you or in certain areas where the enemies are stronger? I prefer that as you move forward, the enemies get higher hit bars. That way, it actually feels when you're leveling up like you're accomplishing something. When the enemies constantly scale to you for the whole game, it doesn't make any there's no point in trying to level up or improve your attack power or anything because it never feels like you're getting anywhere. When the enemies scale to you constantly through the whole game, it always feels like you're just barely getting by. And I don't like that. For me, the whole point of a leveling system is becoming OP as hell and just decimating everything that gets in my way. That's what makes that fun for me. So, what's your opinion on the Crysis games? I think they're incredibly overrated. They were mainly known more for their technology than they were for how good they actually were. And same studio, I feel the same way about Rise Son of Rome. It was more about its technology than whether or not it was actually fun to play, which it was not. Worst PS2 game you ever played? I don't know, man. I played a lot of crappy PS2 games. That's a hard one. I mean, I can tell you one that sucks, and the only reason I bought it was out of pure fanboyism. Or is it an Xbox game? Let me look. Filter to console. Sony PlayStation 2. Apply. I currently own 121 PS2 games. Let's see. Let's rearrange them by title instead of price. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, I guess I don't have. I was going to say Dukes of Hazzard, but as it turns out, I have that on original Xbox, not PS2. So I misspoke. I misspoke. But out of the ones that I currently own right now, probably the Golden Compass. That game is BS. Yeah, I heard about Ric Flair signing a 2-year deal with AEW. Why? Why? How many times is this man going to come out of retirement? I mean, I can't imagine they're going to have him wrestle. I feel like he's going to be a manager like he was with uh, the Millennium or the Revolution or whatever that group was in WWE. I feel like they're going to do that with him. I can't see him in good conscience putting him back in the ring. Not after that performance he did for his last match where he effectively passed out multiple times in the ring and they were having to cover for him the whole match. I totally agree, Nicholas. Killzone Shadowfall felt like Crisis and not Killzone. In fact, I said that when the game came out. I never reviewed it, but I talked about it, and that was one of the things I said was that it didn't feel like Killzone, it felt like Crisis. What are the best video game remakes? I don't know, because I don't buy that many of them. I don't buy that many of them. I'll tell you one of my favorite remakes was, what's the name of it? Mega Man Powered Up or whatever for the PSP, where they remade the original Mega Man but made him look all chibi with a giant head and stuff. I really liked that one. Man, I am looking so forward to the next few weeks. On November 22nd, I take off work and I'm gone for 7 days. Then I come back and I work for 2 weeks. And then on December 14th, I get off work and I don't come back until January 3rd. Like 20 days off in a row. It's going to be astounding. I'm going to love it. I'm going to sit there and watch movies and play games. And on Saturdays, I'm going to talk to y'all and get no donations. And it's going to be great. This gen has sucked, Chris, because so much of it has been remasters and remakes and re-releases. It's like no one's willing to take risks now. Everything's a remake, a remaster, a sequel. You know, where's some new IP? I mean, and even some of the better new IP that we're getting, like Robocop, is an established IP that, you know, is mainly made for the nostalgia. And boy, the member berries are strong with that game, but I'm totally into it. This is the Robocop game I always wanted to have. Now, I'm not saying the arcade game was bad. Robocop the arcade game was awesome back in the day. But Robocop 1, 2, and 3 for NES were garbage. Robocop vs. Terminator was okay. But for the most part, this is the Robocop game I always wanted to have and never got. I am so happy with it. I like how they didn't try to modernize it at all. Like, the police headquarters looks just like it did in the movie. All the computer monitors still look like big ass CRTs from the 80s, I love that. I love that they didn't modernize it with like flat screens and more modern cars and stuff like that. The 6000 SUX is in this. It's great, man. It's great. I love it. Are you fine with remakes that are more like reimagined, like Resident Evil 4 versus Resident Evil Remake? Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm not as fine with Final Fantasy VII because I prefer Final Fantasy to be turn-based as opposed to action games. Do you think Red Dwarf would make a good game? There was a Red Dwarf PC game back in the day. I've never played it. I've heard it's terrible. But there was a PC game way back in the day. But if there was going to be a Red Dwarf game, I'd want it to be a LucasArts style point and click adventure game like Day of the Tentacle. That's what I would want from a Red Dwarf game. No donations, huh? Are you sure about that, 7th? He he. Well, so far, table. So far. Thoughts on Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart? I love that game. It was a little short. It didn't have... To me, the gold standard for Ratchet and Clank is A Crack in Time. There was so much to do in that game. I was completely satisfied with it. Rift Apart feels like half of A Crack in Time to me. And plus, A Crack in Time had the best Rhino ever, the Rhino 5. That's the Rhino in Rift Apart was terrible. That gun sucked. The Rhino 5 was awesome. They've never outdone it. I wish that in future Ratchet and Clanks you had the option of getting every Rhino gun that's ever been released. Hello, 8th.
Hello.
Getting Pupper. Okay. Bye, Pupper. He comes, he goes. But anyway, I wish if they make another Ratchet and Clank that you could get every Rhino they've ever done so that I could play with the Rhino 5. I miss that gun. I miss that gun so bad. I loved using that gun. It went through ammo like nobody's business, but I loved it. Yes, Redfall. Redfall was a new IP. Good Lord. Yeah, it's so weird that this generation is 3 years old. It doesn't feel like we've had them that long. Japan Studio did make some good stuff. What was the last good new IP? Hogwarts Legacy. Even though that's an established multimedia IP, it was a new game series, so I'm counting it. The thing with PlayStation, aside from Bungie, they haven't been making big buys. They've been buying companies that they want for a very specific thing. Like this most recent acquisition, it all has to do with improving video quality, which I'm assuming that's not even game related unless it's for maybe cloud streaming. It feels more like they bought that for that new movie video service that they've added to PlayStation. And it's to improve the bit rate and everything on that. But I could be wrong. $10 from Table. Thank you, Table. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Let me give you a dollar bill. Dollar bill. Dollar bill. There it is. Thank you, Table. Let's see here. I don't know if when or if we're going to see this exclusive FromSoft game for PlayStation. You know, that rumor's been floating around for years at this point. Years and years. You know, Dizzy, I never could get into Gravity Rush. You know, I respected it for what it was, but I just never could get into the gameplay loop of it. That's why when Wood picked it out as one of the games that he was going to take when he was over here, I wasn't that upset about it because I didn't like it anyway. Far out of all of those, I've only played Sea of Stars, and for me, Farb, indie games are a totally separate market. Yeah, I'm talking about new AAA IP. You know, what's we keep hearing these rumors. Oh, Naughty Dog has this new IP. Sony Santa Monica has this new. Where are these new IP? Sony Bend. Oh, we're working on a totally new IP. Where is it? What is it? I'm drinking tea, clean frame, same as always. White Knight Chronicles was pretty good. It was pretty good, but it's level 5. You can almost always count on quality from level 5 when it comes to RPGs. I can't think of a single bad level 5 RPG. Yeah, Sony needs to start being more open about what they're working on. You know, if you're going to have a slim year, fine, but at least be more open about what's coming next so that people will at least, have something to go on, something to hold on to look forward to. That's been the biggest thing with Polymega is, they'll make some announcement. Oh, we're going to start shipping them out between July and October. Well, now it's November. Oh, everyone's going to get theirs by the end of the year. But these announcements are months apart. And when the two whole announcements you've made prior to that have ended up being not true, I'm not exactly holding my breath that I'm going to get my Polymega and the 4 modules that I ordered by December 31st. I sincerely doubt it at this point. I know they got some massive shipment out in California that came over. It was like 13,000 pounds of stuff. So I'm assuming they got some consoles to ship out. Do I think I'm going to be one of them? I highly doubt it. I'll believe it when I see it. Disney's playing it safe because of general audience nostalgia, testing the waters, and the hate baits on YouTube, knee-jerk reactionaries. Well, they've got a new animated movie coming out in December called Wish. That's a new IP. What's funny about it is that they promoted it as Disney's first Spanish princess. Well, they already had their first Latina princess, which was like this Disney Channel show for little girls. I can't remember the name of it. But she's really Spanish princess in name only because it takes place during the time when Spain was occupied by the Moors. So she's a Moorish princess who lives in Spain, not a Spanish princess. At least based on what the story elements that have been released about it thus far. Well, shoot, I'm getting behind. I'm way behind. Jesus. Let me see here. Kraken Time was fantastic. Yes, it was. Let's see here. I'd say Ratchet 3 had my favorite Rhino. By Alex by 8th. True, Rift Apart doesn't advance the story too much, aside from the fact that he's no longer the lone Lombax out there. Again. Let's see here. Well, I mean, Black Metal Gamer, the original Spider-Man had already come out, and Miles Morales when Rift Apart came out, because Insomniac has two separate studios. They've got one in California and one in North Carolina. So they can work on two different series at once. Thoughts on the Ultimate Alliance games? 1 and 2 were good. The third one was crap. They need to buy Katakawa. They already own like a big, not a huge chunk, but a big chunk of it already. I don't know if they could afford to buy the whole company. Are you going to get a PS5 Slim? No. Doesn't offer me any benefits over the system I already have. It's not that much smaller. It's just thinner. I don't want just thinner. I want shorter, and it's only like this shorter. That's not enough for me. It's not slim enough. I'll just wait for the Pro. Indie games have always taken risks that the big companies won't take. In fact, a lot of the innovation that you see over the last 2 to 3 gens in AAA games is stuff that was stolen right out of indie games. But it goes both ways. Look how many indie Soul-likes there are these days. You could say that they were inspired by Rogue, but no, they weren't. They call themselves Souls-likes for a reason. If Sucker Punch had a chance to do a Marvel game, what should they do? Well, when the rumors about Spider-Man first started swirling, the original rumors was that it was going to Sucker Punch, because if you think about it, Insomniac's Spider-Man game is very similar to the Infamous series. So that rumor actually made a lot of sense at the time. If they were going to do a series now, a Marvel series now, I don't know. The game that I'd like to have most of all is a hard R-rated Ghost Rider game. I know I'm never going to get it. And that PS2 game, God of War clone, is the best I'm ever going to hope for. But a man could dream, No, I don't have the Polymega. It's been 2 years. That's why I haven't been streaming retro gameplay, because I've just refused to do it until I have the Polymega. No, I don't like the Nun series. They kind of suck. There are 3 things that always happen in life: death, taxes, and 7th levels Polymega gets delayed. Yeah. What's the worst Ratchet and Clank game? My pick is All for One. I don't know. I think, All for One could be fun with friends. But that one that they put out after it, I can't remember the name of it, but it was basically a tower defense game. That was the worst. That one was the worst one. Well, no. PlayStation Move Heroes. True, it wasn't a sole Ratchet and Clank game, but Ratchet and Clank were in it, and it's the worst. PlayStation Move Heroes was garbage. Treasure Planet. I love Treasure Planet. I don't want that to be remade, though. I don't even think I'd want a live action of that. I don't want it touched. I want it preserved as it is. I'd like to have a Blade game made in the style of DMC. Now that I'd get behind. That I'd totally get behind. But it'd have to be the Wesley Snipes version of Blade. Or just a absolutely new version that's in no way connected to whatever the hell it is that Marvel's trying, the MCU is trying to make and keeps getting delayed. It should be its own separate thing, like Sony Insomniac Spider-Man is. Full frontal assault. The second Ultimate Alliance wasn't anywhere near as good as the first one. I don't know. I kind of like the second one a little bit better because it had the whole Civil War plot line. It just felt like you got more game with it. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. You know, if I had the money and I wasn't trying to lose weight, I'd love to go to Olive Garden and get the tour of Italy and bottomless breadsticks and just eat myself sick. I've been craving that lately. I used to love the tour of Italy. You know, get me some lasagna, get me some chicken parmesan, get me some Alfredo. But it's expensive now, and the closest one is like 30 minutes away, and that's a whole lot of calories right there, baby. Yep. Favorite John Hughes movie? Oh Lord. I gotta go with Ferris Bueller. I love Ferris Bueller. I've loved it since I was a kid. Still love it today. No, I've never been to Nevada. Texas is as far west as I've ever been. And I mean, I'd like to go west. You know, I told 8th, I said, you know what'd be fun would be to rent an RV and just take a road trip across the country. Or rent an SUV and just, you know, stay in some nice hotels, go see the Grand Canyon, go all the way to the West Coast, go to California, go to Disneyland, you know, don't really care about Beverly Hills or seeing the Hollywood Walk of Fame or any of that, but I would like to go to the Sunset Strip, maybe see a band at CBGB's or something. Go to Santa Cruz, check out the Pier Amusement Park where they filmed The Lost Boys, that kind of thing, and then go back home. 8th doesn't care anything about the Grand Canyon. He was like, what do I care about seeing a big hole in the ground? He's like, I'm going to walk out of the hotel, walk over to the wall, look out and say, oh, look, a big hole, and then I'm done. That's 8th. Hi, J-Ram. 7th, does Walmart where 8th works have those Guy Fieri frozen dinner? I have no idea. I don't buy those. I don't look for those. We don't do frozen dinners, Chris. We don't do frozen dinners. No instant dinners in the 7th household. Used to do them when I was single and living in an apartment. You know, I'd get the Hungry Man's and all that kind of stuff. Not so much anymore. You know, if I could see me and 8th doing Factor, if it wasn't so damn expensive, I could see us doing Factor. But It's too much money to spend to get 5 meals a week for what you have to pay for it. So no. I like the idea of Factor. I don't care for the cost of Factor. What's the best and worst Joel Schumacher movie you've watched? Oh, best would definitely be Lost Boys. Worst would probably be Batman and Robin. Love me some Lost Boys. One of my all-time favorite 80s flicks. What's your favorite archetype in RPGs? I usually go for, a warrior type. I've never been big on being like, a wizard or a mage or anything like that. I gotta have my sword. I like to hack away at stuff. Even when I play stuff like Diablo, I know you can go totally OP with some of the sorcery builds and whatnot. I still end up picking some big warrior barbarian type so I could just hack the crap out of everything. So you can ask 8th. That's the way I've always done it. That's the way I've always been. I'm set in my ways. I'm just a bitter old man that likes to hack away at stuff with my sword or my battle axe. Sloppy Joe mac and cheese. Yeah, I don't think 8's going to go for that. 8's typically is not a big fan of that kind of a meal. Not big on casseroles either. Batman Forever, so-so. So-so. Some of the dialogue in that is terrible. Jim Carrey is terrible. Tommy Lee Jones just feels like he's trying to do Jack Nicholson's Joker. It has some good things. It has some bad things about it. My, oh, my, oh, my, oh, my. I can tell you, after Christmas, 2 of the retro games that I'm going immediately after. I was telling 8 this. And I can't believe I don't already have them. I thought I had one of them, but it turns out that I don't. I want the original Metroid on NES. Yes, I'm astounded that I don't have that already. And Super Metroid for SNES. Soon as Christmas is over, next check after that, I'm going after those 2. It's like I told y'all, 8th is really digging Alan Wake 2. 8th likes horror and survival horror and the whole looking for clues thing appeals to him, the solving the mystery type thing. Although he's never really shown a big interest in the Sherlock Holmes games, even the ones that have more of a horror lean to them. But this game he seems to really like. He's been talking about it a lot the last several days. Thoughts on the Venom movies? They're okay. They're more of a comedy than anything else, but they're fun. It's just a big dumb movie that you can laugh at. They're not great, they're not bad. They're kind of in the middle. But yeah, I had Metroid way back in the day, and then I got it again, and then it got sold in the infamous yard sale debacle of 2004, and I thought that I'd repurchased it, but as it turns out, I just thought that I had it. I don't really have it, so now I need to get it. You know, Dizzy, I'm not a tremendous fan of the 3D Metroids. I prefer the old school ones. I'm not saying they're bad. I just like the 2D ones better. But then again, you guys know that the Metroidvania genre is one of my all-time favorite genres of game. Yeah, anytime I see a new indie Metroidvania come out, I have to buy it. Oh, 7th, I saw Dutch with Ed O'Neill. Thank you for the recommendation. How'd you like it, Chris? Like I said, that's one of my favorite Thanksgiving movies. Right up there with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And to me, Uncle Buck is a Thanksgiving movie. I always watch Uncle Buck during Thanksgiving. What are your thoughts on the current state of Disney? I think everything that's involved in Disney right now is on a downward spiral. Their parks, their movies, their shows. It's all downhill. I think they're going to have an entire regime change over there for there to be any lasting changes. I really do. I don't think that's something that the current management has the willingness to fix, because it's their politicizing of all of their product that's been the problem. And when all that started to fail, they've had to raise prices on everything to compensate for how bad everything else is doing. And so it's just this Ouroboros of suck. No, I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3 because it doesn't have a physical edition here in the States, so I refuse to buy it. Simple as that. Hi, Corbin. From 8th. I like survival horror if you're actually able to fight back. If the whole point is to run away, I don't really care. I mean, you'll spend the most of the game looking away from the horror. That's true, but to play devil's advocate, 8th, you did kind of like what's that one? Outlast. You at least the original one, and you don't really fight too much in that one. You mostly run away and hide, but you did like that one. At least back in the day. Your tastes may have changed now. I thought you beat the original Outlast. I thought it was the second one that you didn't beat. Maybe I'm misremembering that. Could have swore you beat the first one, though. I don't really know why Disney ever bought ESPN in the first place. And then they built that big-ass Disney sports complex at Disney World that didn't really have a whole lot of attractions to it other than shopping and watching spring training with baseball players. I never saw why they thought that was going to be this big financial boom for them. Along with that, their NASCAR experience in the Magic Kingdom parking lot, where you could pay to drive a NASCAR race car around the track and stuff. I mean, it seemed like such a waste of money. I can agree with 8, though. I've never been a fan of horror games where all you're really doing is like watching the movement patterns of enemies to try to avoid detection and run around and pick up items and shit. I've never liked that style of game. For me, to give you an example of what kind of horror game I would like, I like The Darkness. You know, like a horror first person shooter. Like to me, the original. Shit. To me, the original BioShock was a sci-fi horror hybrid. That's the kind of horror I like. You know, that, the darkness, that kind of thing. I'm not really big into the whole, you're being chased by something and you have to hide from it stuff. I don't really like survival horror games because I don't like the whole limited ammo and limited supplies type of thing, where I'm being expected to fight something, but I'm having to make sure that I get all my shots right every time because otherwise who knows when I'm going to get another extra 3 whole bullets. Yeah, I never liked that crap. Plus, original survival horror, I know it doesn't have it anymore, but the whole tank control thing. Yeah, I didn't even like it in Onimusha. Now, I know in the Onimusha sequels, they steered away from that and went more towards a Devil May Cry type of thing. But in the original Resident Evil games and Dino Crisis, and even on the Dreamcast with Carrier, the whole tank controls thing, I liked Carrier. I loved the storyline and the vibe of it. I've always hated tank controls. You know what? I haven't even played Resident Evil Village yet. I watched 8th play it. Alien Isolation is another example of something that wouldn't appeal to me. Because, yes, you have some weapons, but they're more about delaying the creature to get away from it. It's constantly running and hiding. If I was going to play an Alien game, I'd want to play something like Alien Colonial Marines, only good. Because Alien Colonial Marines was terrible. I'd want a full-on, big-budget AAA first-person shooter based on Aliens. That's what I would want. Nothing else would suffice for me. Peak horror, Silent Hill 2, Resident Evil 7, Alien Isolation. See, I don't like games where I have to run and hide from stuff. Do you think Capcom Japan will ever make a good Dead Rising game again? That would imply they've made a good one so far. I'm kidding. Not likely, though, Smith. The Darkness 1 was one of the best games I've ever played. The only problem I've had with the second one is I didn't think the story was as good. Dead Space is good. Dead Space isn't as stingy with its supplies as old school survival horror is. So I liked the I didn't get so much into Dead Space 2 or 3, but I got fairly far in Dead Space, and then I ended up like moving away, getting distracted by something else. I can tell you exactly where I left off with Dead Space. I got to the library room where at the end of it was a monster that just kept respawning no matter how much you hacked away at it. So it was like, hack its legs off, make it a little ways out of the room, hack its legs off again, keep doing that till you got to the door, and then you get out the door and you're like trapped in a small room with like 3 of those things, and you're supposed to try to get to the door and get out as quickly as possible or whatever. Right there is where I saved, and I started playing something else, and I never went back to it. Do you think they should make a Predator game like they did with Concrete Jungle? You know what? I never played that one, Nicholas. I've heard that it's bad, but it's a so bad it's good type game. But I've never actually played it. Bottled water time. Oh, brother! Brother! Anybody watch the first episode of Invincible Season 2? I watched it last night. It was pretty good. I like how they actually gave you some decent length for episode 1. It was almost an hour long, so I was happy about that. I was very happy about that. I have the Darkness and the Darkness 2 on both 360 and PS3. That's how much I like those games. Although I played the original Darkness all the way through. For whatever reason, I never played Darkness 2 all the way through. I got distracted, never went back to it. If it has backwards compat on Xbox Series X, I might be revisiting it shortly. I don't know if that's one of the backwards compatible games or not. Do you think Disney Plus has been a complete failure for Disney? For the most part. I mean, look at what they have to do to keep it with new content. The vast majority of the new content that comes in for Disney Plus is Disney Channel BS and National Geographic documentaries. That's 99% of the new stuff that hits Disney Plus. I mean, it's great if you just want to be able to watch every animated Disney movie whenever you feel like watching it. It's great for that. But most of its new original content has been garbage. And, most of it, the vast majority of it, is stupid Disney Channel trash like Halloween Town and The Descendants and shit like that. I don't care about stuff like that. Maybe some of y'all would be nostalgic for it because y'all were actual kids when that stuff was made. There wasn't really a whole lot in the way of original programming on Disney Channel when I was a kid. It was mostly old Disney cartoons and Disney movies. It's like the only new material that was on there was Mouser Size and Welcome to Pooh Corner. And that was it. And I was already too old to care about that stuff. I watched Disney Channel for Condor Man and Tron and The Black Hole and 20,000 Leagues and that kind of stuff. Nowadays, Disney Channel is just another Nickelodeon. And that's what is mostly on Disney Plus. Stuff that I couldn't care less about. Omni-Man's presence is sorely missed. Well, he won't be gone for long. I was going to buy both Darkness games. Oh, it is backwards compatible. You were going to buy them both, but they're locked at 30 frames. Oh, so they didn't get the boost. They didn't get the performance boost. That sucks. I was 14 when Halloween Town debuted. I was either in my 20s or my 30s. I don't really know which. I don't know how long that series has been around. I can tell you that I've never watched any of it because I can just look at the previews for it, the commercials that used to come on Disney Channel for it, and tell you that I had zero interest in it. Yes, I saw the new South Park special. It was funny. It was funny. I enjoyed it. 1998. I would have been in my 20s. I would have been like 23 or 24, somewhere around in there. You skipped my comment on Invincible. That's because it's not a question, it's a comment. I'm not going to sit and literally read every comment in here, Clean Frame. If you ask a question, I'll do my best to answer it, but that's not a question. That's just a comment. Jesus. Yeah, it was pretty. That was a pretty vicious roasting. What South Park did. I greatly enjoyed it. Hi, 7th. Missed first half of the podcast, so you may have already talked about this, but what do you think of Robocop Rogue City? I like it a lot. I like it a lot. It scratches that Robocop itch. I enjoy it. In fact, that's likely what I'll be doing as soon as the 7thCast is over, is going back and playing more Robocop. La 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 la. Trioxin. Lol. Okay. Now Clean Frame's gonna get mad because I reread lol. I'm just messing with you, Clean Frame. Don't get all pissy. I'm sorry, man, but there's too much that comes through on the chat for me to literally read verbatim every comment that's posted on there. You post a question, I'm more likely to read that. If you're posting a comment just stating an opinion, I might, I'll read over it, but I'm not going to like recite it for you. What's the worst Batman game you've played? I've seen some people say Batman Dark Tomorrow. It is the worst. It is the worst. Well, I don't know, man. I think Batman Returns on Sega Genesis is pretty awful. The driving parts on the Sega CD version are good, but the platforming levels are horse crap, man. They're terrible. So I think it's right on up there, right next to Dark Tomorrow. Have you ever been in love with a... No. I don't think I've ever even known one. Or met one, much less dated one. Oh. Gypsy girl. Oh. I'm starting to feel it, lads. I'm not all that hot on Mario Wonder because I wasn't impressed with the new Super Mario Brother games. To me, they just felt like a collection of Mario Maker levels. They didn't feel as good as playing Mario World or Super Mario 3. The levels felt very generic. And when I look at Mario Wonder, yeah, you can turn into an elephant and stuff, and there's, platforms moving around and plants walking and all that stuff, but it still has that kind of new Super Mario Brothers generic look to it. So I don't feel like I'd like it all that much. I could be wrong once I sat down and actually played it, but once again, I don't tend to get too excited about Switch games because they don't have an integrated achievement system. Nintendo has had almost 20 years to put an achievement system on their platform, and they won't do it. They don't want to be bothered with it because they don't want to have to carry a system like that from one system to the next. They don't want to fool with having that kind of infrastructure. They're being lazy about it. But when you ask us questions, are we not supposed to answer them? Not necessarily. Especially if I'm asking that question to a specific person. But even if I throw a question out there, I'm just wanting to, look at it this way, Clean Frame. If I say that someone did something, like someone donated, and I'm like, everybody hit F for respect, I'm not going to sit here and go, F from Clean Frame, F from Dizzy, F from Farb, F from Christopher Lee Jackson. I'm not going to do that. And it's the same thing if I throw out a question. Who all likes chocolate milk? I'm not going to sit here and say, Clean Frame likes chocolate milk. Chris likes chocolate milk. 8th likes chocolate milk. Come on. It'd make for a pretty boring cast, don't you think? I mean, this cast is kind of boring as it is. It's just, an old fat guy answering questions for 3 hours. Let's not make it any worse than it already is. Well, Shadow, the Wii U had a achievement system, but it wasn't integrated. It's like each individual game had its own achievements. They didn't add up to an overall score. It was called the accomplishment system, and it was buried multiple levels into the menu system. So most people didn't even know it existed. Having some back pain, guys. Hang on. Sorry about that. Ooh. The Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. I like all three. Obviously, there are elements of the third one that I don't care for. I don't think Venom should have been in it at all. I think it should have just been the Sandman. But, if you just took the whole black suit and Venom storyline out of Spider-Man 3 and the whole melodrama and Harry trying to make Mary Jane break up with him and all that stupid crap, and just made it like Harry's pissed off because his dad was killed and Sandman, and just had those two, that would have been fine. 3 was too much. 3 villains, way too much. I think the Dino Crisis series is a good series, but again, tank controls. Tank controls. Not a fan. I kind of doubt the Switch 2 or whatever it ends up being is going to have an achievement system. I will be really, really shocked if it does. Because, they've had the Wii, the Wii U, and the Switch to figure that out, and they're not even trying. Do I own No, I don't have Metroid Fusion. It's one of the ones I don't have. At least I don't think I have. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't have that one. I'll double check. Yeah, once you get used to unlocking achievements, it becomes hard to go back to playing when there aren't any. Let's see, what Fusion, what was that? Game Boy Advance? Oh, I need to filter it to handheld. Hold on a second here. Filter to handheld, Nintendo, Game Boy Advance. I don't have a whole lot of handheld games. I've got a ton of Vita games and I've got a ton of PSP because 8th went through this period where all he wanted to do was collect PSP games. Not so much anymore. But I only have 31 games for Game Boy Advance. And Metroid Fusion is not one of them. I've never read the Invincible Comics clean frame. Never read them. I'm only familiar with the show. If the actor who played the Sandman passed away, it's been very recently because he voiced the character in No Way Home. That was him in No Way Home. So if he's died since No Way Home came out. Retro Achievements is fun. Wherever it is, wherever my Retroid 3 Plus is, it has Retro Achievements installed on it, so I can play old NES games and unlock achievements on them. It's pretty cool. Would you play an Invincible game? If it was good. Don't care about the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection. I already own all of those games, and what they've done isn't enough. If they had completely remade them from the ground up, maybe I'd buy it. But just, cleaning up the originals, don't care. And especially because, once again, I don't play stealth games. One hour remaining. We've had one $10 donation. Thank you, table. The guy from Friends, Matthew Perry. Yes, he passed away. Capcom said they have an unannounced AAA game next year. What would you like it to be if you could choose? I don't know. Maximo 3. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the Amazing Spider-Man movies either. If you opted into that PlayStation Stars program, I signed up for it, but, because of the fact that it's not something that you can just pull up in a menu on PS5 and look at it, they want you to go to the frickin' phone app. I just don't really interact with it that much. Capcom said they expect it to sell millions, so that means it's either got to be a new Monster Hunter, or it's got to be a new Resident Evil. One of the two, because they already brought out the new Street Fighter this year. I mean, it could be that one that they previewed all the way back at the PS5's launch, that one with the guy in the space suit, but that everyone said reminded them of Death Stranding. I can't remember the name of it. It could be that, I suppose. But that'd be an awfully big show of confidence that a new IP was going to sell millions and millions. We'll see. Power Stone. I played Power Stone quite a bit on Dreamcast. Pragmata. 7th, is the orange box on 360 worth getting? Not if you have a PC. I mean, it has good games on it, and if the only way you can play those is on console, I guess it's all right. But the performance is not there. Even if you have like a decent mid-level PC, it'll destroy the 360 versions of all those games. Christopher Smiles Morales sounds like a pole dancer. I think it sounds like an 80s era luchador, or like an early 90s luchador that might have uh, shown up on WCW fighting El Dandy at like 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday on TBS. We've got a hot one for you tonight, folks. It's El Dandy versus Smiles Morales. You imagine Tony Schiavone sitting there talking about, trying to give some history into the career of Smiles Morales. You can hear it in your head. You know you can. Yes, someone made a new Boogie documentary. It's called The Sad, Sad Life of Boogie 2988 or something like that. Boogie's been talking about it for weeks. You should be able to see like all sorts of links to it all through his channel. It's made by a guy named Mike Clum, C-L-U-M. If you just look up Mike C-L-U-M on YouTube, you should be able to find it. Table, since you asked me about it earlier, there is another one that you can get for 360 that you might really like. It's not available physically. You can only get it digitally. There was never a physical release of it. It's a God of War clone, but I can't remember the name of it. It has to do with like voodoo, and you play as a black dude, and it's a straight up clone of old school God of War, but I can't remember the name of it. But it's like $14.99 on the Xbox Live Store or whatever. So just search for, do a Google search for God of War ripoff Xbox 360. You're sure to find it. Sounds like Norman Smiley's tag team partner. Yeah? Have you ever... You know what it could be? Smiles Morales, that could be a villain on Dick Tracy. That could be a Dick Tracy villain. And he'd be like some... Mexican gangster who had this ridiculously big grin, and he'd be called Smiles Morales. Have you ever worn a top hat? No. Marlo Briggs. Okay. There you go, table. Look for Marlo Briggs. It plays exactly like the PS2 God of War games. As Metal Jesus might say, it's a hidden gem. We got about 50 minutes left, folks. 50 minutes. Wonder what Rain's up to. She ain't shown up tonight. Oh, my neck is crunching. It's not good. It's not good at all. No. Oh, my back. I tell you, the weather, man, is like a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, it actually got down into like the 60s, and I wasn't actually having to run my air conditioner. I was like, wow, this is nice. And then today it was windy, but it was back up in the 70s again. I was like, man, I shouldn't say anything though because they're predicting that Texas is going to get more than average snow this year. And the last time we got more than average snow, we were without like power and water for 4 days. Don't want that to come back. Well, we didn't have the power, as much of the power issues as other areas did, but still, it wasn't fun. Couldn't drive anywhere. Water pipes, not the water pipes in the house, but the water pipes leading up to the house were all frozen, and so couldn't flush the toilet, couldn't take a shower, was having to pour bottled water into a bucket and take a piss into a bucket. It was a pain in the butt. It sucked. 4 days of that crap. It was terrible. Of course, I've seen worse. I was living in Tennessee. I was a senior in high school during the blizzard of '93. We had 2.5 feet of snow on the ground with like 8-foot snow drifts. We were without power for like it was something like 2 weeks. It was bad. It was bad. We were living in the kitchen. My dad had like all this Coleman hunting gear, right? Camping gear. So we had like a Coleman kerosene heater, and we had Coleman stove. So we were like cooking fried eggs and heating up cans of baked beans for like 2 weeks. And we would just all sit in the kitchen together where it was warm, and I was just reading books. Reading books. Almost got frostbite in my toes because I went out with my friends to play in it, and almost ended up getting frostbite in my toes because I stayed out there too long. So I'm hoping it doesn't end up being too bad. But what I'm going to do is after Christmas, I'm going to stock up on bottled water. I'm going to get some big, multi-gallon jugs of bottled water and keep them out in the garage. So in case it happens again, and stock up on food so we have plenty of stuff that we can make without non-perishable stuff that we can eat, like, cans of soup and stuff like that, where we can just pop it open and pour it in a bowl just to have it. Maybe buy a bunch of cans of Chef Boyardee or something. Does it ever get stormy in Texas? Oh yeah, big powerful rains, and of course certain areas of Texas get tornadoes a lot. We get them every now and again down here, but it's never been in my area. It's always been like 20 miles away from us. But yeah, exactly. Lots of canned food. Lots of canned food. Canned food and lots of water. Because, for those 4 days, I was standing in front of the sink, closing the sink, pouring bottles of water into the sink, then taking a wash rag and washing myself off in front of the sink. It was bad, man. It was bad. I don't have any exes that live in Texas, no. Yeah, we did that. We set all of our faucets, except for the ones outside, to run little droplets of warm water. We did that with but it didn't matter because the pipes coming in from the street froze, so no water was coming into the house It was effectively the same as water just being shut off. Yeah, I'm not too up on my country clean frame. Progresso or Campbell's? I like Campbell's. Usually chunky, like chunky chicken or chunky beef. Do you remember the guy high on drugs putting his fingers too much to the pavement and got his finger meat off? Actually, if you're talking about one of my dad's stories from several years ago, it was they had gotten a report of a break-in at a jewelry store, and they went out to the jewelry store, and the front door was fine. There was no shattered windows, and they heard some screaming coming from the roof, and so they went climbing up to the roof, and there was a guy laying there, stoned out of his mind on PCP, and all the meat of his fingers had been stripped off because what he had done is he had forced his fingers into the gaps in the bricks on the side of the building and pulled himself up to the roof, thinking that he could get into the jewelry store from the roof. And in doing so, he had ripped all the meat off of his fingers, so there was just like exposed bone and tendon and stuff. It was messed up. It was messed up. Top 3 hack and slash franchise. I don't know. 2 of them would be God of War and Devil May Cry, and Diablo, because technically it's hack and slash. Hack and slash is kind of a wide thing. You can, there's action-based hack and slash, and then there's RPG-based hack and slash, also known as a Diablo-like. So, there's different types of hack and slash out there. Hi, Zach. I'm doing all right. Wait a minute. Magic powers. Got 40 minutes left, folks. What's your favorite story about the Six? In other words, my dad. I don't know. I don't know that I have a favorite about him. I've told this one before. When I was a kid, he was trying to encourage me to get my grades up on my next report card. And so he told me, I'll give you $1 for every A you make. But he didn't say every A you make on your report card. He said, I'll give you $1 for every A you make. So I started bringing home every quiz, every homework assignment, anything that my teacher wrote A on it, I brought it home. And so because he hadn't specified that he was talking specifically about the report card, by the end of that period, when I got my 9 weeks report card and I actually made the honor roll, he felt so guilty about it that he went ahead and gave me $1 for every A I'd brought home. And so I ended up with like over $100. And so that Friday, when I came home with my report card, he drove me to the Hills department store, which doesn't exist anymore. And I wasn't playing NES quite yet. That didn't come until the following year. And so I spent it all on Transformers. I bought Metroplex and several of the Transformers, the movie era characters like Springer and whatnot. I just like almost an entire shopping cart full of Transformers. And and he was just laughing at himself for giving in to that the whole time. Had this big ridiculous grin on his face. And he was like, now next time, it's $1 for every A on your report card. I'm letting you get away with it this time because I didn't specify. But next time it's report card grades only. And I looked at him and I had this shopping cart full of Transformers and I was like, okay. And man, I loved that Metroplex. I played with that thing. I got months of play out of that thing. Because you could turn it into so many different things, you know? It had like 2 or 3 different modes to it. And at that time, it was one of the biggest Transformers I had. I mean, it wasn't as big as Omega Supreme, but considering all the things you could do with it, it was a pretty kick-ass playset. Did Disney ever fix that geyser? I don't know. I don't know. Best game controller to beat a burglar with. Either one of those big, giant arcade sticks or the Duke, the original Xbox controller. That thing is beefy. Yep. 6th passed away on January of 2004. So he will have been gone 20 years this coming January. 8th was like a week shy of being a year old when his grandpa died. So 8th has no memory of him at all. But my dad got to be a grandpa for a year, so, you know, no regrets there. I think that was about the proudest he's ever been. Because he would come up with excuses to, you know, throw 8th in the car and take 8th out and, you know, walk him around in the Walmart or walk him around in the Target, you know, in his little Jeep stroller. This is my grandson. And people would... 8th was such a cute baby that people would stop them just to look at him. I mean, I've shown some pictures of what 8th looked like when he was little. I mean, he was an adorable little baby. I have no idea what happened to him, you know, but when he was real little, he was adorable. Something went horribly wrong around age 14, and it's been all downhill from there. But when he was a little baby, he was just this adorable little bundle of joy that strangers would stop you just to look at him. You said you worked at security. If you did, what was the craziest person? We never had to have anybody arrested. I was doing security work at a call center, man. It was a building full of nerds for the most part. You never really got anybody arrested. We had to escort some people that had been fired out of the building, but that was about it. Oh, sorry to hear that, Shadow. Never an easy thing, losing a father. Unless, of course, you know, they were like an abusive a-hole, then it's not that big of a deal. But when 8th was little and you'd go Christmas shopping, how often did you see toys that you wished you'd had when you were little? Not that often, really. Not that often, because, you know, 8th is at that age where, you know, toys started to become less and less of a thing for kids, and it got more and more to the point where toys were more for adult men, like, you know, retro action figures and stuff like that. I mean, they had Kinects and that kind of thing, and right around when he was little, when they brought back Weeble Wobbles, And so he had some of those when he was little, the new versions of Weeble Wobbles. And when he was around, from age 5 to 8 or 9, he was big into Kinects. Yeah, he had to have every Kinect set. And he loved Transformers, but he didn't like playing with them. He'd transform them once, and then he would just, set them down on the floor in a row and then just sit and look at them. Like, this is my collection, and I'm going to look at my collection. And that's what he did with his Transformers. Yeah, my dad's mom was a real piece of work. Her name was Ruby. And she was like, it was like having the Wicked Witch of the West for a grandma. I mean, she was nice to me, but I could see, I'd see how she talked to him, and I didn't like it. She was evil, man. She was straight evil. Why is someone setting off fireworks? Somebody's setting off fireworks. Texas. What do you think of Spider-Man 2? I haven't played that much of it. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I neither hate it nor am I in love with it. It is what it is. $30 minutes left, folks. 30 minutes left. We have had one $10 donation from Mr. Table JFK. Wonder where Rain is. Not saying that she would donate anything or that she has to, but I do notice when she's not here. Because she's like, the one lady who watches my show. I mean, heck, I'm friends with Jude over on Billy's live stream, and she don't watch my show. Jude never shows up in here. Just Rain. Every now and again, Titanfall will show up. Titanfall Princess. Very rarely, though. I can't see the lights to them, but I can hear them popping off. It's not gunfire. I grew up on the firing range, son. I know firearms from fireworks. Trust me, those are fireworks. I don't know why anyone's setting them off in November, but somebody is setting off fireworks down there. I can hear them. Any plans for Thanksgiving? Me and 8th don't really do the Thanksgiving thing. We've done it a couple of times, but for the most part, last Thanksgiving, we had chicken wraps. That's what we had for Thanksgiving. It's chicken wraps. Just don't really care enough to put all that work into it, We mostly just sit around and game. Every now and again, we'll go out on Black Friday and see if we find any deals. That's about it. And I couldn't even tell you the last time we went out on Black Friday. Maybe we'll do... Well, no, we can't do it this year because he'll be working. I guarantee you, Walmart will have him there. If I end up doing any Black Friday shopping, it'll end up being online. I don't know if I told this story or not, but one time when 8th was maybe 3... I almost accidentally gave his mother a concussion on Black Friday. We had gone to the Toys R Us that had opened at 5 in the morning, and we had to stand in line to get in there. And we went in there, and we grabbed up all the things that we wanted to get for him. And at that time, I was driving an SUV. It was like a 2002 Ford Escape. And so it had this big hatchback on the back, right? So we go and we load up our purchases into the back of the SUV. And she walks away, and I reach up to grab the hatchback door, and I'm pulling it down, and she ducks back around and says, "Hey, did we remember to?" And I went clonk, knocked her straight to the pavement, hit her right on the back of the head with that, with the door to that hatchback. And I mean, it wasn't my fault, She just swung her head back around. Leaning around almost cartoon style, like, did we remember to, and bam, right on the back of the head, straight to the ground. And, I picked her up off the ground, and I walked her over to the car, and I'm like, are you all right? Do I need to call the hospital, call 911? She's like, no. Oh, Lord. I felt so bad. But it was her own fault, but I felt so bad. Because the sun hadn't even come up yet. The only light outside was the light from the parking lot lights. And we had loaded everything up, and she had turned and was walking towards her door on the SUV. And so, I reach up, and I'm grabbing to close it, and then she ducks her head around the corner. Whammo! I'll never forget that as long as I live. I've had to work Black Friday at retail. I don't wish that on nobody. I had to do it at Circuit City. Oh, it was a nightmare. The second time I had to do it for Circuit City, I figured out that it was so busy that they weren't paying attention to nothing. And so once it got to where, like, it was standing room only in there, I just kind of slowly worked my way out the side door, and I went to the mall and watched a movie. I think it was like Toy Story 2 or something. I can't remember, but I went to see something at the theater, and then it was one of the Santa Claus movies. It was like one of the Santa Clauses, Santa Claus 1 or 2. And then I came back to the store. No one had even noticed I was gone. And because it was Black Friday, I'd already made my quota for the day hours earlier. And so I was there for another 3 hours, finished out my shift, and left. Pow, right in the kisser. Pow, right in the kisser. Pow, right in the kisser. Eighth likes a lot of different music. He likes modern rap like Post Malone, and he likes a lot of different types of metal and some punk rock, and he listens to a lot of video game soundtracks and movie soundtracks. His tastes are pretty diverse. For some reason, I want to hear you say Taser Talzer. I don't know what that's a reference to. Is that trying to trick me into saying something politically incorrect? Is that what you're trying to do, Dark Star? Are you trying to trick me into saying something politically incorrect? What's your opinion on Bug Snacks? I thought it sucked. Be careful on Black Friday. Smiles Morales could come out around the corner at any second. Well, he better hope I'm not closing the door to the car. He might get hurt. And be yet another wrestler with a bad concussion story. Oh, Darkstar all quiet now. What were you trying to trick me into doing, Darkstar? Weeble Wobble ain't a tongue twister. Tongue twister is more of a tongue twister than Weeble Wobble is. What game are you playing the rest of the weekend? Robocop. I suspect, based on how far I got so far, that I will probably beat it mid tomorrow. I am capturing footage as I'm playing through it. Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't really do VR. It's not that I don't like VR. It's just that the VR helmets we have stay in eighth room, and it's just too much of a pain in the butt to carry it into the game room and hook it up just for me to sit there and play it. And honestly, we don't really have that many uh, games for the PSVR 2 because, unlike the PSVR, there's not a lot of them that are being released physically. So I haven't been all that keen on buying them because there's been very few physical releases for it. I know of maybe one that's been a physical release. When I think of I know that cops carry them now. When my dad was a cop, he never carried a taser. He carried a sidearm and a nightstick, and I still have the nightstick. I still have the nightstick. Uh, when I think of taser, I think of the dude, the protester guy. Don't tase me, bro. That's who I think of when I think of tasers. I certainly don't think of my dad. I know they carry them now, but they didn't carry them back then. With my old man, you either got bullets, a thick piece of oak to the head, or a punch to the jaw. That's what you got from my old man. Maybe some buckshot, because when he opened up the trunk of his patrol car, he had a 12 gauge and an M16 in there, just in case. He's like, you never know. $20 left. Have there been any good references to the movies in the Robocop game? There's been a number of them, but no, I have not seen the I'd buy that for $1 guy yet. There have been lots of other stuff, but not that. Like one of the mechanics is you can breach through a wall, certain walls, which of course is a direct reference to when he smashes through the wall to grab that guy that had City Hall on lockdown. And there is a level of the game where you go back to the steel mill where Murphy was first murdered, where he was killed. And there's, the 6000 SUX is in it. And police headquarters looks exactly like it does in the original movie. His patrol car looks exactly like it does in the original movie. There's references all over the place. The arcade from Robocop 2 is in it. Although it doesn't have any actual licensed games. You're not going to see any Data East games in there. It's all a bunch of generic fake stuff. But it is that arcade. But no, so far I have not seen the I'd buy that for $1 guy in the game. What do you think about Capcom thinking that mods like Thomas the Tank Engine allegedly ruin their reputation? I think they need to relax. I think they need to relax. As long as it's not something where people are using it to cheat, or they're not using it to, like, easily earn trophies or something like that, then they just need to leave modders alone. I have magic powers. Yeah, Robocop predates Smash TV, Darkstar. First Robocop movie came out in 1987. I saw it with my dad at a movie theater that no longer exists on Brainerd Road, right up the street from Eastgate Mall and across the street from Lionel Playworld. The building's still there, but it's not a theater anymore. Now it's, the last time I was in Chattanooga, it was a nightclub. I don't know what it is now. But it had two screens, a full-size screen on the first floor, and then you walked upstairs to the second floor, and there was a smaller screen in a tiny room that looked like it could have been like an office that had room for maybe 12 or 13 people to sit in there. And instead of regular theater seats, it was like folding seats. And that's where I saw Robocop, was in that tiny little second floor theater. It was fun, though. Saw it with my dad. My dad didn't mind taking me to R-rated movies. He didn't shelter me like that. My mom didn't like it, but Dad didn't care. He didn't often let me pick the movie, though, because sometimes that didn't work out well. Like, I think I mentioned a while back, we were at a family reunion, and it was all my mother's family. It was my mom's side of the family. And my dad was bored to tears. And he came walking over to me, and he kind of leaned over, and he was like, "You want to get out of here?" And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Let's go find a movie to watch or something." So he came in his patrol car. So he went and told Mom that I'm taking the boy. And we got in the squad car, and off we went. And we went to the closest movie theater. And, I'd been seeing commercials for it. There had been it had been mentioned on Nickelodeon as part of their Standby Lights Camera Action show. $15 from Smith Smithy. Thank you, Smith. Appreciate you, son. Dollar bill. But anyway, Nickelodeon used to have a show that was hosted by Leonard Nimoy, and it was called Standby Lights Camera Action. And it was about movie making. And so they'd show you how the effects work, behind the scenes making of the film, and sometimes show you previews of new movies coming out. And they had covered Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. So I saw the poster for it, and I was like, "Dad, let's watch Buckaroo Banzai." And he's like, "What the hell is that?" And I'm like, it's a sci-fi movie." And he's like, "Oh, well, okay." And so we went to watch it, and we come walking out of there, and Dad just looks at me, and he was like, "What the hell did I just watch? That's the last time you ever pick a movie." We also had a tradition that when we'd go to vacation in Florida, we'd spend most of the time at Disney World, but we'd also drive farther down to Tampa to visit with this aunt that I had that used to live there. And while we were visiting with that aunt, there was nothing to do, and so Dad would put me in the car, and we'd spend most of the time driving around looking at all the places that he used to go to when he lived there as a boy, because my dad was moved around a lot, and there was one period of his life where he lived in Tampa. And I remember one year he ran out of things to go look at, and couldn't find anything for us to go do, so he just drove into a gas station and walked over to the comic book rack, and he pulled an issue of every comic book they had and slapped them down on the counter and took me home, and was like, "Here, don't read them too fast." But anyway, we had a tradition at where finally they built a movie theater close to us, and so we would go see at least one movie while we were down there in Tampa. And we saw like a couple of the Lethal Weapon movies. We saw Temple of Doom. We saw Krull in Tampa with my dad. And that it was just a tradition. We always went to see a movie while we were down there. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Eighth has seen a lot of 80s movies. He's seen a lot of 80s movies. Some he likes, some he's like, I don't get why you like that. Thank you, Smith. I appreciate you. Fona Infinity, I am about as straight edge as it gets outside of nicotine. Kind of a dumb, trollish question. And the Tray for Life series was awesome. Thank you, Smith. Appreciate you. Certainly hasn't gotten a lot in the way of views, but the people that have watched it have seemed to really enjoy it. So that's cool. I just have to come to terms with the fact that there's just not that many of us still around on YouTube from 14 years ago. And most of the younger folks that they weren't watching YouTube during the whole Trey Brotherhood thing. They're not gonna know what it was. It's not like I was expecting it to hit 20,000 or even 10,000 views. I would have liked for each episode to at least get to 1,000, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I think the only community out there now that would still give a crap about it possibly would be some of the people on System Wars, the System Wars forums. But I'm not going to be that guy that goes and advertises his own videos on a forum that he doesn't go to. I'm not going to be that jerk off. It is what it is. It'll either eventually find an audience or it won't. I had fun doing it. I had fun writing it. But I can't really think of any other topic that I'd want to do a long-form documentary series like that. I just can't think of another topic where I'd do that. Everything else that I know about that's already been done to death. Talking about my years in retro gaming or whatnot. The retro years already exists. I mean, you can watch that on Amazon Prime, for crying out loud. It is what it is. It was fun while it lasted. Back in the day, the only video I saw from anyone in the Trey Brotherhood was your Xbox One video and Solid Rev's video on his kid picking the 360 over the Xbox One. Yeah. Yeah, Rev is one of the few that's still around. Do you think you'll make more YouTube shorts? I don't know, man. I've dabbled in it, and my YouTube shorts don't really seem to get that much in the way of views. So, I don't know, man. I really think that I'm, for the most part, blacklisted on the algorithm, and so no matter what I make, it's not going to get views. I think that's pretty much where I'm at now. I guarantee you, when I make this Robocop review, I doubt it'll even break 1,000 views. I seriously doubt it. It just is what it is, man. It just is what it is. I had my time. It's over with. No big deal. No big deal. You know, you guys show up every Saturday. That's enough for me. Oh. Well, we got 8 minutes. What else you want to talk about? Aside from my handsome face. I haven't watched The Bear. Don't know nothing about The Bear. Don't know nothing about that show. I'll tell you another thing I never watched. I never watched Robocop the series. I didn't watch the animated one, and I didn't watch the live action one. All I've really ever liked is Robocop 1 and 2, and 2 is a stretch because there's lots of things about it I don't care for either. But I'm liking the game. I like the game quite a bit. Quite a bit. Quite a bit. Let me check something real quick. Yep, dip, dip, doo. Nope, nope, nope. Yep. Nope. Nothing special going on there. Nothing special going on there. Apparently, Blue Eye Samurai has debuted on Netflix. Maybe I'll check that out later. That reminds me, I really liked the Onimusha series on Netflix. It was good. I marathoned it a day or two ago. I rather enjoyed it. Never seen Robocop 2. Oh, my neck, man. My neck. I'm getting so tired of that. 5 minutes left. 5 minutes. Cinco. Thanks to Table and Smithy, that gives me back half the money I spent on Robocop. I see. I think that's really the only way that I could ever build the audience back up is if I was able to buy every game that came out as it came out, so I could capture gameplay footage and review it. Because if it takes more than a week for you to get your review video out, nobody's going to watch it. It's like the first week, it'll get views. After that, dead. Hi, Shadow Deist. No, Fona Infinity, you cannot borrow $100. Please stop trolling. I'm not going to fall for it. I'm not going to get pissed off. Take a break. Do you like it when streaming sites put a show out once a week, or do you prefer they dump the whole thing? I prefer to marathon it. I don't like this whole watch, one episode a week thing. If I cared about that, I'd still be using cable. I understand why they do it, but I don't like it. I prefer like on Netflix where they dump the whole thing and you can watch it all straight through. Christopher, I'm the wrong person to ask on how to get more viewers. Shadowhood hasn't shown up this week, so I don't know where he is. I don't really watch shorts, Farb, so I don't know what the shorts formatting is supposed to be. If I have something that I want to talk about that's only going to take me 60 seconds to say it, that's what I use shorts for. If there's something else I'm supposed to be doing with them, I don't really know what that is. I trimmed my beard. I didn't cut it. I don't like having it super bushy. And the only time I grow out a full beard is if, at this point anyway, is if Billy needs me to do something with Sarge. Like if he was going to be making a sequel to the Game Chasers movie and he wanted Sarge to show up, then I'd grow the full beard back out. But otherwise, I don't like having a full beard. It's itchy and it's a pain in the butt. Which is the best Lord of the Rings film? My favorite's the third one, Return of the King. You could use YouTube shorts to troll people. Yeah, but nowadays, that's considered bullying, and all it's going to do is get your channel flagged. It's just going to end up getting your... saw your cameo. Oh, yeah, in the movie, yeah. Yep. My 10 seconds of fame. I patiently await my Oscar. I don't know the last time Rev made a video. It's been a while. Been a long while. I mean, he did a solid cast a while back. Yeah, people can't handle trolling on YouTube anymore. The only people that can kind of get away with it are those commentary community channels like Turkey Tom and that kind of thing. That's like trolling disguised as a long-form documentary is what that is. So they kind of get away with it by saying, this is commentary, this is a documentary, it's not bullying, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's 9 o'clock. It's time to go. I'm going to go back and play some more Robocop, capture some more footage. And I eventually, maybe tomorrow, but eventually I'm going to get that Retropalooza video up where I'm like, trolling Boogie and whatnot. I'll get it up there eventually. Maybe tomorrow. If I decide to take a break from Robocop, maybe I'll throw it together and throw it up there just to let you guys watch it. Otherwise, you guys will see me again